Let's head to France now, where the country's 2017 presidential elections are just around the corner. Many French voters have expressed skepticism, however, around the candidates and their ability to solve the issues currently facing France. The recent killing of a policeman by a suspected Islamist militant has pushed national security to the top of France's political agenda. Centrist candidate Emmanuel Macron said the first duty of the president is to protect the country, while far-right nationalist candidate Marine Le Pen condemned the attack as Islamist terrorism and promised tougher immigration and border controls if elected. France's current president, Francois Hollande, has ordered an extra 50,000 security personnel to guard polling stations across the nation.
The question is not whether we should close our borders, it's to say what is going on here. It's not easy. It's easy to criticize, but it's a hard issue to solve. I don't dare say it is impossible to solve, it's just very complicated.
Concerning immigration and nationalism and issues like that, I believe Le Pen has the same theory as President Donald Trump.
I'm going to vote for Macron. Why? Because in November it was evident the next president would be Fillon. Then we discovered he was a thug. I used to vote left, but now I'll vote for Macron.
Well, let's bring you the very latest on the eve of the French elections. We're joined live from Paris by CGTN's Kate Parkinson. Indeed, Kate, if security wasn't before, it certainly is now top of mind for many French voters. But of course, it is not the only priority issue as they head to the polls.
Well, absolutely. The issue of security has been thrust right back onto centre stage as a result of this attack on Thursday night, the fatal shooting of a police officer on Paris's famous boulevard, the Champs-Élysées. And certainly it has been a running theme throughout this campaign. France has seen a string of terror attacks in recent years, and certainly it's been a big issue. The far-right candidate Marine Le Pen pinning national security and controlling immigration really as the cornerstone of her campaign. I was actually at one of her rallies here in Paris last week before the attack, and she was saying if she's elected on her first day as the president of France, she will close the borders. So this has certainly been a theme that she has been very keen to hammer home while she's been campaigning. But it's not the only issue that people here in France are concerned about. Certainly it is one of the big themes, but the other theme that has been over and over a big campaign issue for the candidates is France's economy and its stubbornly high unemployment, which has hovered at around 10% throughout the presidency of Francois Hollande. And these are certainly big issues for people as they head to the polls tomorrow. But it's not clear really at this stage who is going to win. Tomorrow we're expecting the top two candidates to go through to the second round. Of course, if one of the 11 candidates running tomorrow gets more than 50%, we'll have an outright winner, but that's never happened before. So we're expecting there to be a second round in 2 weeks, but it's not even clear at this stage who will be the candidates in the second round. There are no less than 11 candidates on the ballot paper tomorrow, with so many candidates to choose from and so many big issues, and up to 30% of the French electorate still not sure who they're casting their vote for. This is a very close call and an impossible one to predict.
A close call indeed, and a very important election, although of course we are hearing some reports raising concerns about voter turnout. Of course, Thursday's incident happened already at a time when France is under a state of emergency. What kind of measures then are being taken to ensure that there will be adequate safety during these polls?
Well, as you mentioned, France is still under a state of emergency and has been ever since the terror attacks here in Paris back in November 2015, when 130 people were killed here in the French capital. This state of emergency has been repeatedly extended. Certainly authorities very nervous that there could be another major terror attack here in France, and they are particularly nervous around election time. Just last week, 2 arrests were made in the southern port city of Marseille. Bomb-making equipment was found, guns were found, and authorities say an attack was imminent. Then, of course, we had this fatal shooting on Thursday night with a police officer gunned down here in Paris. And just a few hours ago, actually, a man was arrested in one of Paris's main train stations. He was wielding a knife. It's not clear at this stage whether that was a terror-related incident, but it shows how nervous authorities are that there could be further attacks. In order to make sure this election happens amid high security, the French president had already mobilized 50,000 police officers across the country. And following Thursday's attack, the French Prime Minister had a security meeting, and he said that security forces, including elite troops, are now also on standby and ready to be mobilized should that be necessary. So really, French authorities taking no chances here, and there's certainly a lot of anticipation and nerves surrounding this vote on Sunday, and potentially another round 2 weeks later.
Well, thank you so much, Kate Parkinson, live for us in Paris on those high security measures put in place for an election that at this point is still too close to call. We will, of course, get further updates from her as those voting gets underway on Sunday.